End of the 2023 college football season. College football always goes in like a lion, out like a lion. But man, at the end of the day, it is really 3 months of a regular season, and that is it. So, a lot of people sleep on it here and there, and even, weeks like this week where there's not that many marquee matchups on the board. You got to enjoy every game, and the whole thing is that you just got to find those matchups that are right for you. It doesn't have to be Ohio State, Michigan every single week. Or Georgia, Alabama. Chris, how's it going?
And going well, I kind of alluded to this morning. I'm excited for this week's college football. Like you said, there's not a ton of high profile games. There's still a lot of solid matchups. A couple of ranked versus ranked games as well. And Alabama, LSU for me, the one that really stands out. But we'll be talking about that one later on.
Ron, how's it going?
Going good, Mitch. Yeah, I mean, as far as betting perspective goes, I really like this card this week. Not like there's a few big rivalry games and Bedlam and Bama, LSU, Washington, USC should be a good one, but there's also some stinkers. But even those stinkers, I think there's some value on the board. So I'm excited to go over these games and some of the marquee matchups. But also, you guys know I like those smaller schools, and we don't see Conference USA action on the weekdays this week. We see them on Saturday. I think that's actually going to give us a better price with some of these games.
Yeah, the thing that like these guys have both said, I feel the same way this week. It's not one of those weeks where it's like I really love any of those games that I'm really dying to see the matchup from a fan perspective, like a edge of my seat. Like, as a Miami fan, I'm waiting for next week when we play Florida State, type thing. And so none of the, nothing on this board is even remotely close to that for me. Even Alabama LSU to me is a little downplayed this year. Bedlam series. It's never really been all that competitive. So, it is what it is, and we will make the most out of what we got to work with. And I think we have a lot to work with here, from a value perspective. We'll open things up as the Clemson Tigers take on Notre Dame. Clemson lost last year at Notre Dame, I believe it was. And this year they returned to Death Valley for the rematch. Chris?
Yeah, it's crazy for me that you could think that Clemson might miss out on a bowl game, but sort of I think just where they find themselves right now. I don't love this game particularly, but I do lean towards Clemson at home because I feel like if it's not now, when? I think the hot seat's getting even hotter for Dabo. But I could also see this being a 1-point win for Notre Dame, something like 21-20 or 28-27, something like that. It's going to be a great game to watch, but I lean towards Clemson and the points at home.
Ron?
Yeah, because of the Clemson struggles this year, we're getting still one of the best defenses in college football and one of the toughest places to play in college football at a dog price, getting 3 points now as the home dog. I know Notre Dame has that 15 by its name, but I really don't look at those rankings. I think these teams are pretty even. Offensively, I think Notre Dame is still the better side, but I think Clemson's able to run the football in a game like this, and I just think getting +3 with Clemson at home and a big rivalry matchup, I think there's value there. So I'm going to go with Clemson +3, but I also sprinkle on the money line. I think they win the game outright. There's revenge in this one from losing in a blowout last year. Give me Clemson plus the points.
I'm with you guys. I'm on Clemson as well in this one. I think there's +3 is way too much to be laying here. I think Clemson's woes way overrated. A lot of those games were on the road. Still, Death Valley, just one of the toughest buildings out there. It's not Dabo Swinney's best season, but he's not on the hot seat by any stretch of the imagination. Dabo Swinney walks out the door at Clemson. He doesn't even get one toe out the door before 10 college jobs and 10 pro jobs await him. My guess is he probably has pro offers right now on the table. There's a lot of NFL jobs that are open or will be open, and my guess is he's going to be one of the guys that everybody is after. He's won at Clemson like no one's business. You have to remember, he came in, took over for Tommy Bowden, who was struggling mightily. It's not like most coaches in the NFL or in college don't come in with their team on a massive winning streak and the guy's leaving to go to the next level. I mean, it happens, but it doesn't happen all that often. More likely what happens is the guys run the program into the ground and you got to rebuild it. And Dabo Swinney's done that. I mean, they made it to the playoffs how many times? And how many, with 2 national championships, he beat Nick Saban twice in national championship games. I don't think anyone else can say that. And I don't know if he's on the hot seat, Chris. I think you got a little carried away with yourself. I'm going to roll with Clemson on the points in this one. I just think that, like Ron said, I like the defense, the pass defense, and Sam Hartman on the road. Kiss my ass, as they say. That's all I'm going to say about that one.
Did they say that about Sam Hartman on the road?
Like if they don't, they should be.
And where does that hot seat comment come from?
Yeah, I was out of pocket.
When you have the expectations that Clemson does year after year, there's a lot of people, a lot of boosters, a lot of supporters aren't happy with this season.
One season, not in either the playoff or in a New Year's Day bowl game.
But that's
and
all
you're
I'm
going to fire a guy.
Coaches have been fired for less.
No, they haven't.
Listen, Chris has the pulse on the Clemson boosters.
He's a closet member of TigerNet.
Yeah.
The first forum to ever roast me in my online career. TigerNet. The largest online college football forum. Texas A&M visiting Ole Miss. Ron, 3-point spread in this one. This one is the line I saw this morning as well. This one, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, this is not one of my favorite games, but I am going to lean with Texas A&M. I think it's going to be a close game. It's basically a high-octane offense against one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in college football. I got to give the edge to the defense. I'd rather A&M was at home, but I still think on the road defense travels. And, we haven't seen A&M be tested too much on the road this season, only a couple of true road games. They haven't fared too well in those ball games, but I do think against Ole Miss's defense, who's had a pretty weak schedule lately. I mean, look, arguably played the three weakest teams in the conference: Arkansas, Auburn, and Vanderbilt. So yeah, they can earn wins and by touchdown plus in all those games. But now you're facing one of the best defenses in the conference. I think A&M keeps it close, if not wins the game outright. Should be a really entertaining game, but I'm going to go with the Aggies.
I'm with you in this one. I've already done my video on this game. I haven't posted it yet, of course, but I took Texas A&M in that video, and some of the things that Ron mentioned. But for me, I think the Ole Miss offense is a little bit overrated. You look at them; they put 55 on a horrific LSU defense. I mean, come on, LSU defense. Outside of that game, 10 points against Bama, 27 against Arkansas, 28 against Auburn, and 33 against Vandy. I'm not so sure that gets it done here against these guys. I'm not. And the Texas A&M defense, I think, is a little better than Vandy. I'm going to take Texas A&M here. Chris, I think they have a chance to win it outright as well.
Yeah, when I wrote this game up, I was leaning towards Ole Miss just because it was the offense that I trusted more. But now the more I look at it, I'd probably lean towards Texas A&M. Probably not one I'm rushing to bet personally, but I lean towards Texas A&M in the points.
Well, the first poll is out for the college football playoff, and Ohio State is number 1 in that poll. In the history of the college football playoff poll, since its began with these October releases, which are supposed to make it more relevant towards a Final Four, never once in the history of this has the initial 4 teams ever made it to the championship playoff intact. Never one time. I don't think this year it will either, because the way that it just sets up. It doesn't set up for that to happen. But we've got Ohio, because I think Michigan, Ohio, the way the Big Ten does it now is the top 2 teams play the championship, regardless. So it could be a Michigan-Ohio State rematch there in the championship. But, even then, Oregon, Washington could slide in, I mean, it could happen. Anyways, Rutgers, Ohio State. I think for me that the Rutgers defense is really good. I know their offense is not that good, but their defense is really good. Very, very underrated defense. And I think they're going to be able to hold the Buckeyes down here. I mean, Piscataway, not really known as being a tough place to play. I mean, we'll be honest about that. But then again, I just don't think the Ohio State offense has been able to consistently click. They've edged out in a couple of close ones. Even the Penn State game was closer than it probably should have been. I like Rutgers in this one plus the bundle of points. I think it's going to be a lot closer than this. I think it's a touchdown game. I think if Rutgers won the game, if they get a couple bounces, turnovers, whatever, they could win this thing. I mean, their defense is that much better than Ohio State's. It's infinitely better. It is. And the thing that I like about Rutgers and the way that Schiano's building this program, you can give me the look. It's okay. The thing is that
Wait, what did you say?
when you look at the way that Schiano's building the program, this is how you build a program. The priority number one, win the games that you're supposed to win. Win the games you're supposed to win. Then pull an upset here or there. So they're winning all the games they should win so far this season. Now, let's see what they do in this one. This is their shot. I'm taking Rutgers. I'm taking the points. I'm going to sprinkle, I don't know, a lot on the money line. More than sprinkle.
Did you say Rutgers' defense is better than Ohio State's?
Yes.
Oh.
Statistically, they're better, and they played a tougher schedule.
In what world? In what world are they statistically better?
In my world.
No way. Ohio State's given up 10 points per game. They haven't given up more than 17 in a game all year. They're giving up 3 yards a carry on the ground, 51.1% completion opposing quarterbacks, 160 passing yards, 260 total yards per game. You could argue that Ohio State's the best defense in the country.
No way.
Oh, yeah.
It's soft, man.
That argument's a lot more sound than Rutgers having a better defense. I like Rutgers' defense. It's a good team, but you can't say a bit. Well, I mean, no way.
I'm going to take the under in this one. I think whether it's an Ohio State blowout or a close game, I think it's going to be lower scoring game. I mean, look at Ohio State on the road this season. I mean, you play, Indiana. They won that game 23-3, 17-14 against Notre Dame, 24-10 against Wisconsin. I do lean towards Rutgers just based on it being. I just think it might be too many points, but I think the under is the stronger play for me in this one.
I like Rutgers plus the points in this game. I like their defense. I mean, I'm not going to go to that extent, but I agree with Mitch. I think it's going to be a closer game. I think in a low-scoring game, having that many points is valuable. And when you look at the series since Rutgers joined the Big Ten in 2014, the first 5 games were absolute blowouts. Rutgers didn't cover the spread in any of those games. 56-17, 49-7, 58-0, 56-0. It was ugly. But in the last 4 matchups between these two teams, Rutgers has been a lot more competitive. 3-1 against the spread. Even though they lost those games, they were catching a lot of points like we see in a game like this. And I think they do enough defensively to keep this game close. Lose it, but still cover the numbers. So I'll take the points.
I will say this, man. In my lifetime, Miami's had a lot of great defensive coordinators. Of all of them, I think Schiano was the best. We've had a lot of great ones. A lot of guys have gone on to head coaching gigs, big-time head coaching jobs. But the best one we ever had was Schiano. He was the best. Oh, boy. We got Texas against Kansas State, man. I think if this one was at the Little Apple, it might be a little different story. But, Chris, what do you think of this thing? Quinn Ewers obviously not playing.
No, he's not. But I still like Kansas State in this one. To me, this is a rock solid Kansas State defense, solid Kansas State team across the board. I get why Texas is getting the love. They just routed Houston and TCU at home in back-to-back weeks.
They didn't rout Houston. They won by a touchdown on a bullshit call of bullshit calls. I mean, the guy got to the 8-yard line. They spotted it at the 9.5. It was a first down. It was 1st and goal. Instead, it was 4th and 1.5 yards. The replay clearly showed them at the 8-yard line. I don't know what routed them. They're 20-something-and-a-half-point favorites. They won by a garbage-ass touchdown. Oh, my God. I'm disgusted by your commentary.
If I could finish, I was about to say I mistakenly looked at Kansas State's results. I was looking at the wrong side. So
they just beat up on Rutgers defense. Good.
I beat up.
Rutgers has one of the top defenses in the country too, and maybe Ohio State rates out a little bit higher than them, but they haven't played as tough a schedule. They also don't have the Rutgers defense. In all fairness, is on the field about three
Yes.
times as long as the Ohio State defense is.
Agreed about that. Yes. All right, go ahead, Chris.
Okay. They beat up on BYU last week, who for whatever reason they still have a decent quarterback in Keaton Slovis and a big offensive line, but couldn't do anything in that game. And
yeah, because they were flagging them every 2 plays.
no,
man.
I know. I'm just saying they couldn't get anything going. And the last time we saw them before that, they lost to Oklahoma. I'm not all that impressed with this Texas team. I think Kansas State, yes, they've stumbled in a couple of their road games. They lost to Oklahoma State, got beat out on that last second field goal against Missouri. But I just think this is a solid Kansas State team that can at least keep this one to a 3 or 4 point game, if not win it outright. I like the Wildcats in this one.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to be on Kansas State too. I was on Texas last week, and they covered for me, but I was not impressed on either side of the ball. I thought Malik Murphy in the offense would be fine. It really wasn't. I mean, they only put up 354 yards against, I think, the worst defense in Power 5 football in BYU. And defensively, even giving up 292 yards is too many to Keaton Slovis in that BYU offense. So I was not impressed. And I think Kansas State, like Chris said, really strong this season, especially as of late. And it's not always ideal to take a team after back-to-back blowout wins and a big win against TCU. You're not really getting the best of the number, but against Texas, we're still getting a decent price. So I'll take Kansas State in the points.
I've been on Kansas State all season long, and I'll tell you, on the road is where they haven't been as good. I'm a little concerned about that. If they turn the ball over, they're dead. So I'll take Kansas State, but I'll probably have my in-game bet ready to go in case things don't go my way, because they can't afford to turn the ball over because they're not going to get any calls. Right? They're going to get 0 calls in this game. So they're going to have to actually earn it. So I'll go K-State as well. But like I said, normally I've been on K-State a ton in the last, 5 years or whatever, but the thing is, they always get up for Texas. They just get up for Texas, Now what the hell? I'll bet them big. Lock. Before I started Sport Chat Place or Pick Dogs, I was out in Vegas, and it was a Texas-Kansas State game. And I bet Kansas State money line in that thing because there was a guy wearing a Kansas State jersey in front of me. And I was like, I was going to bet Texas. Like, you guys beat Texas? He's like, we're going to slaughter them. It was like 59-0. It was like, I don't know what the final score was. It had to have been 2000. It had to be 2005 or 2006. Let me see what the final score was in there. If there's a Kansas State, like a massive bombing of them.
Let's see. In 2007, it was 41-21.
That might be
Texas.
it. Yeah, I think that was it.
And then 2010, it was 39-14.
It wasn't 2010. It was the other one. It was
2007. That was number 7 ranked Texas, unranked Kansas State.
That was exactly it. That was the game. But it wasn't as close as the score. It was not as close. Anyways. All over K-State. This one. So on them. Ron hit K-State. We're all in agreement on all the games this week. Did you guys miss me?
I'm frightened.
Usually not a good sign.
Yeah, I did miss you a lot. It was tough just with Ruffolo, but we actually had a really good time.
How this game made the board, I have no idea, but it's here, so we'll cover it.
Yeah, I was going to say that too.
Come on, you can't disrespect the service academies like that.
Oh, I can't.
Army sucks this year. I mean, they
just
suck.
lost to UMass.
They lost to UMass. Not only did they lose to UMass, they lost to Troy 19-0 in the rainstorm. At home. Chris, you're going to do this one, even though it's not your turn. And then me and Roger are just not going to even cover this thing.
All right. Well, give me Army in the points. In a game where there could easily be 6 possessions the entire game.
I don't agree with that, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, I think that this is still going to be heavy heavy option run. Air Force, they've implemented a bigger passing game. I still think their quarterback Zach Larrier's banged up.
It's at
So
Air
I
Force or
think
Army?
at Air Force.
I think it's a neutral site.
So
Oh,
yes,
it's right.
neutral.
Yeah, no, it is. It's the Broncos Stadium.
Oh, Air Force. At Air Force.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Army in the points. So I think it's
Stupid.
Even a 17-0 win gets you in the back door.
You're stupid man. Ron,
Well,
what do you like? Army also.
I take the under in the Service Academy. The under's gone 9 straight in this series. No reason to go against it.
Chris, I'll bet you the pancakes at
Peppermill.
Peppermill that Army doesn't cross the 50-yard line.
Oh, goodness.
I'll take that action.
All right. I'll bet a stack of pancakes. They don't make it past the 50.
And I'll bet you a fruit cup and a bagel with cream cheese.
Army stinks.
Does this include a turnover, like a forcing a turnover on their own side of the field?
Yeah, anything, any which way. I'm gonna guess that Army 3 and outs almost every single time. It'll be like worse than watching the Packers, man. It'll be like 3 and out like every single series. Missouri takes on Georgia. This is Missouri's game. This is their game of the year. They have played well. They've stepped up to the table. Luther Burden's elevated his game. But this is, they're catching Georgia kind of at the wrong time. Ron, what do you think?
I want to take the points with Missouri. Georgia last week defensively, that first drive that Florida put together was pretty simple. Really, Florida mistakes defensively and Graham Mertz not really being able to beat Georgia's defense was the reason why Florida couldn't keep up. But, they put up 339 yards. I think Missouri's offense is a lot better than Florida's, especially on the offensive line. They've only given up 3 sacks the last 4 weeks combined in SEC play. They run the ball well. The quarterback play has been there. Missouri's defense has been really strong this season. So I think Georgia wins, but I think Missouri finds the cover, getting more than 2 touchdowns.
I think Missouri's got an outside shot at the win in this game.
Me too.
This is their Super Bowl. This is their big game. It's not like Missouri's always been a bad team or not even been. They've been to the SEC championship in the modern era, in the recent years, when they had the other coach, the one that got sick. They weren't a lousy team. Their coach got sick. That's what happened. But I like Missouri here. I like the Eli Drinkwitz. I know Kyle Kerms believes that there's only 2 college football coaches I think are any good, but I actually think there's 3, maybe even more. But I'll take Missouri in this one. Chris?
I was leaning towards Georgia, only because we saw this kind of same thing happen last year where they were slighted in the first playoff rankings, and then they played Tennessee and shut down Tennessee 27-13. We've seen Georgia sort of in the same spot. When Kentucky came to town, it was a Kentucky team that was riding high, and Georgia won that game 51-14. Not saying it's going to be that much of a blowout, but I could see 38-21, something like that. So give me Georgia laying the points, but not when I'm rushing to bet.
Sounds like you're not rushing to bet much. We've got James Madison against Georgia State. It's a betting show.
I on that last week.
It's a betting show, man. It's like he's not straight Ruffoloing. He's just like backdoor Ruffalo.
No, it's okay. It's like Ron said earlier in the show. There's a lot
like on the Sauce show. He just takes every total.
I said this is a great betting card, Ruffalo. Don't put words in my mouth.
But you said that there's a lot of betting opportunities on the other games that maybe don't get the spotlight, and that's kind of where I'm at.
Well, I'm on the spotlight games too. I like those.
James Madison against Georgia State. I know, it's probably a sucker spot, like most of them are, but I like James Madison here. They've done me well all season. I know Georgia State can, step it up, but I'm going to roll with JMU only because they've done me proud all season long. I've made money on them, so at least in the games I bet. The other ones I haven't paid any attention to. I had them on TV last week, but I didn't watch the game. They were on one of the TVs. I couldn't even tell you what happened. glued in on the other game. Last week we had some really good games. Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I'm
How
going
does
to go
this
with
make
the
the list?
undefeated James Madison team, big game in the Sun Belt. I was trying to throw in some variety. But
Okay. Well, who do you like? You gonna pass on this one too?
no, I'm not going to pass on it. I'm going to take the over. I'm going to take Georgia State as well in the points, though. They can pass on this JMU defense. They like to run the football, and that's where JMU's strength is. But JMU hasn't had the toughest of schedules. I think Georgia State, this is the biggest game of the season for them. A win here could potentially put them in a great spot to be in the Sun Belt Championship, considering JMU won't qualify. So I'm going to take Georgia State in the points in this one.
It's like his what's that game called? Texas Hold'em. What's it called?
Texas Hold'em.
What's it called?
Ultimate Texas Hold'em.
Oh, UTH. Yeah.
UTH. Yeah.
Does not qualify.
Oh yeah. Dealer does not qualify.
Dealer does not qualify. Dealer qualifies a lot in that game. That's why it's a good game. It's a good game because the dealer actually does qualify a ton. That's what makes it a good game.
You want the board to pair so that they qualify that way. You don't want them to qualify the other way. But
it's so weird because I don't even like table games. I don't even like blackjack. I just like craps. But I like UTH.
Yeah, it's a fun one.
It's a nice game.
You can lose a lot quickly though.
Yeah, you could win a lot quickly.
Yeah.
It's a nice little card game.
You can get a lot of bet in when you know you have the advantage.
Yeah, and you could just get steamrolled as well.
Sure.
I never play for the entertainment value. I hate the entertainment value. Oh, at least you had fun. Yeah, that was fun. That was $3,200. That was a blast. It's like, what a good time that was.
Yippee.
I feel like taking a shower after that. Just feel dirty. Who do you like in this one? JMU and Georgia State.
Yeah, I'll lean towards Georgia State. Last year's game was an exciting one, 42-40 final score. So Georgia State playing with revenge, playing at home in this game. The offensive line's been really strong. That's important because JMU has a really good pass rush. They've had 13 sacks the last 2 weeks. So I think that having a mobile quarterback and having that strong offensive line with a good run game really going to help Georgia State be able to move the ball. Not in love with the Georgia State defense, but I will say it's improved from last year. So I think we see a close game. I'll take the points with Georgia State.
So in the next one, we got Penn State and Maryland. This is a trophy game for these two schools. Penn State has looked a little flat coming out of the since they were flat last week after the Ohio State game. Chris, what do you think of this thing?
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Maryland in the points. Not one that I had the strongest feeling about early on, but I think there is going to be a bit of a hangover for Penn State the rest of the way. I think they're focusing on that big showdown coming up with Michigan, and I think Maryland wants to step up and rise to the occasion here. This is a solid enough offense for Maryland that I think it can keep them in this game. I'm going to go with Maryland in the points in this one.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going Maryland with the points. I have not been impressed with Penn State's offense. I thought last week was a really good opportunity to get that feel-good blowout win after losing to Ohio State. You barely beat Indiana. I mean, it was not a great game there at all. Only up by 3 points at halftime, getting outgained at halftime against one of the worst teams in Power 5 football. Maryland, we're getting them at a really good price now because of their recent struggles, coming off the upset loss to Northwestern, but they still outgained them. They've outgained the last two opponents. I think we see them bounce back offensively, put up enough points to potentially win this game outright, but I'll just take the points because we're getting more than a touchdown.
There are very few certainties in life. One of them is the sun rising in the morning. Number two is Oregon always beating Arizona at Oregon in college basketball. Number three, Penn State just beats the living shit out of Maryland. I mean, every time they play them, they just absolutely blow them up. These games are never close, and Maryland, maybe they win here and there, but it's rare. I mean, Penn State's got to be really, really bad for Maryland to win. I mean, Penn State normally just absolutely clobbers them. I mean, these are the ones, they beat them by 50. I mean, they're not even, these are beatdowns. I just can't get past. I'm taking Penn State. I don't see any other way around it. I don't love the way Penn State's playing. I hate James Franklin now that he's, laid down against Ohio State, even though it had Ohio State in that game. It was like you knew he was gonna. But Maryland can't beat Penn State. They're in the heads. They live there. What was it last year? 30-0 last year at Penn State. 31-14 the year before Maryland. And Maryland won 35-19. Holy crap. They were 27.5-point dogs in that game and beat them 35-19. Then Penn State had beaten them 59-0, 38-3, 66-3, 38-14, 31-30 Penn State in 2015.
That was the 2020 Penn State year where they started like 0-5, the COVID year.
27.5-point dogs. It was COVID year. It doesn't count. There's only like 4 games that season.
Penn State lost most of them.
Chris likes Army. Got the Bedlam series, Oklahoma State and Oklahoma. Weird thing about this rivalry is, well, only one team usually wins. Ron, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this is a really good spot for Oklahoma. They've dominated the series. The road team has dominated the series against the spread as of late. Coming off a loss, their first loss of the season. So, I think that we're getting a good price with them. 38-33 at Kansas. Kansas is one of the toughest places to play nowadays. I think Oklahoma, who's played well, they've covered in every road game in this series since 2011, I believe. So they've been super strong ATS on the road, usually as a favorite. And Oklahoma State on the other side, they've won 4 straight games. 3 of those were upsets. They're at the highest of highs. We got to remember at the beginning of the season, I know it was a different quarterback, but this team was 2-2, and they lost outright to South Alabama, 33-7. At Iowa State, they gave up 34 points to a very low-scoring Iowa State team. So I'm not overreacting to Oklahoma State's recent win streak. I think Oklahoma, the Sooners, win this game in a blowout. Give me Oklahoma laying the points.
I'm going to roll with Oklahoma State in this one. This will be my first time taking Oklahoma State in this rivalry since Les Miles was coach at Oklahoma State. That's how long it's been since I've taken Oklahoma State in one of these games. The reason being, this is the final game of the Bedlam series, and when you're the team that did not end the series and it's the final game of the series, usually, well, you kind of leave it all out on the field, and I expect for Oklahoma State this will be their Super Bowl. My guess is that the fans will be extra lathered up for this one. Oklahoma can go into Stillwater and beat Oklahoma State in this one. Put them in the playoff because they're up against it in this spot. They are way up against it. I know Oklahoma State's, I don't buy into any of the recent success. Big deal, you beat Emory Jones. Congratulations, I think this is like just a different thing, where it's like, it's kind of like Kansas against Oklahoma last week, where it was like, you just had that, you just knew they were going to lose. I knew they were going to lose. Knew it. I said on the sauce, Kansas will win the game. They will storm the field. They were storming. I think they stormed the field in Stillwater as well. Chris?
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Oklahoma here.
You also had Bucks last night.
Yeah. Well, okay. I got one wrong.
I had the Pacers. So no, don't tell me about wrong.
Hey,
I lost by 55 points.
So did I. I lost by about 40. So I'm almost there with you.
I lost by 55 points. How's that even possible, man? It's like they've had the scrubs in there dunking on my ass.
Wasn't there a Thunder game that was like a 70-point loss or something like that?
I was telling Ron before the show, man. You could do a whole month, every day show, almost 24 hours a day on brutal one-sided beatdowns I've been involved in on the wrong side. Dallas Mavericks versus LA Clippers. Oh my God. That Dallas Mavericks LA Clippers game. It was like, I lost by like 50, 60. They were down by, I think, 58 at halftime. It was like, what? I think Jovan and I were on the same side that one. It was like, oh, man.
Yeah, I'm going to take Oklahoma here. My only concern with Oklahoma State is that they've allowed one of the highest amount of passing touchdowns in the country defensively this season, and we know that Oklahoma likes to air it out. And I think they win this one by a touchdown. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be competitive throughout, but I'm 34-27, 35-28, something like that. So give me Oklahoma to end Bedlam with a win.
So you don't think that you guys don't think that emotion gets into this one?
I mean, I don't think it's any different than any other.
I
Any
would say
less
so,
emotion than
but
any other Bedlam.
Oklahoma's they've dominated on the road in this series. And I don't think that the last game of the series has too much with it. I mean, the fans can only do so much. What are you going to do? Jump on the field?
I don't know. They did at Kansas last week.
I know, after the game.
Yeah, but I said it before the game.
No, I know. It was a good call. But
Calling it again.
how many points do you give fans?
In a game like this,
points.
in a game like this, 3 touchdowns.
Okay. All right, move on.
Wow, getting a little bossy over there.
Yeah,
God, Washington
getting a little
against
sassy.
USC.
I can't argue with
We're getting into the Pac-12 games. Ron's getting bossy.
Where's my Fiji water in the green room?
The sass level on Romanelli just hit a 10.
Because here I am asking like a genuine question. And he goes 21 points. Rutgers is the better defense. And you got Chris taking on me.
Oh, shut up.
It's week 10.
No.
Washington, USC. I like Washington in this one, not because I think that they're all that. I just think that I just think USC just sucks. I really can't stand Lincoln Riley. I've been saying for years, and I'll continue to say, he needs to just go away. You know, he needs to go away, and that's really about it. You know, he needs to go away.
Yeah, I'm going to take the over in this one. I think there's not going to be a ton of defense being played here. I do think Washington probably gets the better end of it when all's said and done, but I think this game's going to finish closer to 85 points. So I'm going to take the over, lean towards Washington here.
I'm going to go, maybe I'll regret saying this, but I'm going to go with USC money line. And I think you could martingale the opposing team money line against Washington the next few weeks, because we just haven't seen a Pac-12 team run the table and get into the college football playoff. A Pac-12 team has not gotten to the college football playoff since 2016. We see year after year they get these great starts and they're highly ranked, and then they take each other out one by one. Oregon lost to Washington. Utah's out of the running. USC lost to Notre Dame and to Utah. I think it's Washington's time now. We saw the first time Washington played a real deal offense like Oregon. They gave 540 yards and 33 points, and they honestly probably should have lost that game. I was on Washington in that one, but it was a couple of mistakes in the red zone and a missed field goal away from either overtime or Oregon winning that game outright. So I'm not a believer. You know, as much as we say USC's defense is horrible, which it is, I don't think Washington's defense is the real deal. I think Washington's got a really potent offense, which hasn't been as potent as of late because it's been very one-dimensional. They haven't been able to run the football. They had 91, 13, and 99 rushing yards the last 3 weeks. It's not going to get it done. I think Washington's pass defense is questionable, facing the number one quarterback in college football, Caleb Williams. Give me USC plus on the money line. And if they lose, I'll take Utah on deck. I don't love Utah, but I'll still roll it over. Utah money line. If they lose that one, Oregon State. And I think at worst, out of those 3 next games, you're going to get plus money on the opposing team every game. You'll win one of them, so just martingale it. Rant over.
Wow.
But other than that, I like Washington.
I hate USC. LSU against Alabama. LSU should play USC. That would be the game. Flag football. The total would be 110.
Yeah. And a half.
Brian Kelly, it just goes to show you, he sucks at any level in any conference. He's good in the MAC, and that's about it. Because nobody can run with him. But he goes up against real teams. It's like Alabama LSU. Used to be a big game. Used to mean things. Now it just means if LSU beats Alabama, actually they'd have the same record in the SEC, and LSU would go to the championship game over them, right? Wow. If they can finish out, if they can run it out.
Yeah, I think it would depend on Ole Miss. But
Did Ole Miss beat LSU?
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
So,
55-49.
So maybe it would be an Alabama beat Ole Miss. So
Yeah. So I don't know what
there's probably another
tiebreaker will be.
tiebreaker in there.
They'd all be 1-1 against each other, so I don't know.
Who was in this one? Me?
I
Yep.
believe so.
Go ahead.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna take Alabama here. I know LSU 48 plus points in each of their last four games. This is the top scoring offense in the country, but the defense is seriously an issue for LSU. Don't let that 62-0 win over Army fool you, or the 48-18 win over Auburn. This is seriously a really, really bad LSU defense. I think Alabama could take advantage, and I think Alabama, if you can slow down offenses like Ole Miss, and you can slow down offenses like Tennessee, I think you can also have some success against LSU. I think it's really telling that Alabama's favored at home in this one, despite all the success offensively that LSU's had this season offensively. So give me Alabama laying the 3 here.
I'm going LSU in this one. LSU's been able to score and move the ball on any opponent, even at the beginning of the season against Florida State. They only put up 24 points, but they had 460 yards. The turnovers were the reason why they didn't keep going. I mean, they had just 300 yards, 17 points at halftime in that game. LSU's, like Chris mentioned, a lot of points recently, 47 points per game overall this season. Alabama just hasn't shown they can do that. They can't keep up with these high-octane teams. And, Chris mentioned Tennessee and Ole Miss, but I don't think those teams are comparable to an offense like LSU. The experience at quarterback, the run game earning just under 6 yards a carry. I know that LSU defense is tough to watch, but it's improving. And I know Army doesn't mean much, but at least another SEC opponent in Auburn holding to under 300 yards and 18 points. So you can compare Alabama's offense to Auburn. I mean, it's got similar numbers overall this season. I'm going to go with LSU plus the points because I think if it's a game, we see a steep total, 61.5 points. I don't think Alabama can keep up, so I like LSU.
I'm going to take Alabama in this thing. No problemo. I think that LSU's really been aided by Daniel's ability to scramble. And I just think that he's not going to be able to do that against Alabama. I just don't see it, I don't see it at all. So I think the Alabama defense wins the day. And I don't think LSU can stop anybody. I really don't. I think Alabama's just going to run. Drag them down the field. They can run, they can pass, they can do whatever the hell they want. Alabama has a defense that can stop LSU. LSU does not have a defense that can stop anybody. How many did Missouri put on LSU?
I mean, Alabama against Texas in Tuscaloosa got torched.
Yeah, well, that was a long time ago. And also the thing
Sure.
about that game too is that Texas had a defense that could put the Alabama defense back on the field, and LSU does not have that. That LSU defense is going to be on the field 40 minutes in this game because Alabama is just going to chunk them down right down their throat. LSU will not be able to stop them, and so they won't be able to get off the field. In that Texas game, the Alabama offense could not keep their defense off the field. And I think time on the field has a lot to do with, defensive performance,
Sure.
as I said in the Rutgers Ohio State game.
Come on. No, but I agree. But LSU's been able to move the ball on anybody.
Those guys are pussies. I'm going to take Alabama. Chris, settle this.
Yeah, I already went with Alabama.
Good. Not good, but we'll take it.
Hey,
You're
easy.
foolish and lack vision.
Dumbass. Can't spell dumbass without Ruffolo. Got Oregon State against Colorado. Well, my stack of pancakes at the Peppermill from Jay Briggs is looking to be pretty good. I might even slap a little extra butter on those suckers.
Yeah, I was going to say, they're getting the butter ready.
It's like, not a big syrup guy, but I can be. I might bring my own. Got some Ruffalo syrup in the fridge.
They're like the
good
IHOP
stuff.
flavored syrups.
Ruffalo's got the syrup, man. He brings his own. It's in the can. The good kind. You don't mess around. What is that kind of syrup that you got?
Oh, it's just maple syrup.
It comes in the can, right?
Oh yeah, we got the canned maple syrup.
Yeah. You brought me some.
Yeah,
I got it.
I did.
I use it. I don't generally like syrup, but I like that syrup. Drink it like it's coffee syrup.
It's like people have the little bottles of sriracha on their keychain or something. It's like I got the bottle of maple syrup.
Well, this is homecoming in Boulder. It's going to be on ESPN. Colorado, I faded them many times this season, but I'm actually going to take the Buffs in this one plus the points. I think this is a good spot for them. We're finally getting good prices now with Colorado. We're getting almost 2 touchdowns at home. Oregon State, DJU, he's been solid, but, as a game manager, but I don't expect him to cover this number on the road. I still don't trust him. The Oregon State defense, which had a really good start to the year, in Pac-12 play, we've seen them give up 400-plus yards to Cal, give up 7 yards per carry to Cal, 6 yards per carry to UCLA. I think Colorado still has big issues on that offensive line, but I think they move the ball through the air enough, put up some points, cover the spread, maybe pull off the outright upset, but I'll take the points with Colorado just to, we're getting a ton of points now.
I'm a hater, so I'm going to take Oregon State. Just because I'm a hater. Normally, I never take Oregon State if they're not home. But this time I'm going to, only because I'm a hater and for no other reason. I've taken Colorado only once all season, and why change now? Chris?
Yeah, I'm going to lean towards Colorado at home here. I think Oregon State probably wins, but this is a lot to be given up to a Colorado team that's shown they can at least put up points at home. If this game was in Corvallis, I'd probably take Oregon State by 4 touchdowns, but in Boulder, I think this one could be a 10-point game. So give me Colorado on the points.
Got UCLA and Arizona. It's me, right? I think Jed Fish is certainly a candidate for College Coach of the Year this year in Arizona, turning around this program. It wasn't like it was expected or anything like this, and he's out of the Bill Belichick line too, and all that other crap, which usually breeds some pretty crappy coaches. But he's managed to buck that trend. He's no Josh McDaniels, Chris's favorite coach. I don't know, man. I like UCLA. I like what they're doing, but oh man, I kind of got to go with Arizona here. I I just think I love the way they're playing. I think they're going the right way. Not so sure UCLA is. Chris?
Yeah, I'm gonna take Arizona in the points as well. I wouldn't be surprised if Jed Fish is out of Tucson soon. I mean, Arizona 7-1 against the spread, 5-0 against the spread as an underdog.
Where's he going?
I don't know. I'm sure someone will be after him. Noah Fafita's done a great job as a
He's going to the
quarterback
Big
taking
12,
over.
you know.
Maybe. Yeah, I could see. I mean, like I said, I could
They're
see
going
him.
to the Big 12 next year, Arizona. It's like,
No, I know, but I don't know. I know what I'm saying. I don't know if maybe another team will try to pry him. Who knows? But
well, he has mostly
done a
pro
great-
experience. He has mostly pro
Yeah.
experience.
Chris, is Dabo Swinney going to Arizona?
he might.
Hey, maybe he'll take over the Michigan job. He was at Michigan, Jed Fish. Maybe he takes over for Harbaugh.
I mean, he's 6-18 going into the year with Arizona. Let's slow down a little bit, I'd say.
He was at Michigan, and you got to figure that Harbaugh will be fired in the next, 15 minutes or so. He's not fired already. You haven't checked.
No, he's got fired.
He will be fired, and he will. The next thing we'll hear about Jim Harbaugh after this is that he'll be suing the University of Michigan for his contract money. That will be the next.
But I like Noah Fafita. I like UCLA's defense, but Fafita's held his own against top 20 teams, so far. So give me Arizona and the points in the game. I think they could actually have a good shot at winning outright.
I'll agree. Arizona's just they've went through the gauntlet. I mean, they played Washington, played them close. They played at USC. It was obviously a really close game. It's overtime, triple overtime, I think. They beat Washington State outright in a blowout. They beat Oregon State outright, plus by 3 points, 27-24. Both sides of the ball playing their best football of the season. I say, why not? At home, I'll take the points.
All right, Ron. Any commentary on Jim Harbaugh in Michigan? Staying,
0.
going, done. Benito, death penalty,
I
suspension,
really have no
probation.
insight.
Well, if they stick by with the way they normally do things and not give him the Michigan treatment, it will be 2 years minimum probation, a 2-year bowl ban, minimum probation, and 3 years of scholarship reductions by 10 scholarships a year. Is the way is the going rate, but because it's Michigan, they'll probably lose 2 scholarships and it'll be suspended for a game and a half. Anyways, this is Mitch for Ron and Chris. We'll see you next week. Not too many weeks left this college football regular season, but of course we still got the bowls, the playoffs, the championship, and all kinds of good stuff. College football, it's going. But Monday, college hoops will have the new bank shot breakdown featuring Ron Romanelli. Doesn't get much rest with the World Series running into November this year. Make it a winning day.